Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the REDX podcast. My name is Haley Johnson. I will be the host today. We have a very special guest with us. We've got Jeff. Jeff, how's it going?
It's going great. It's good to be here.
Yes, this is the first time you've been on the REDX podcast, so we're excited to have you. Before we get into today's topic and talking about all the stuff we want to talk about, do you want to tell the audience that this is a participatory event? We do go live so that you can come and ask questions. And if you have any questions for Jeff throughout this podcast, just feel free to chat in whatever you want to know. And if we get to those, then we will, and it'll be great. Also, if you want to subscribe to the podcast so you get updates and all that good stuff, just go over to redx.com/podcasts and you can sign up for email updates there. But other than that, I think that's it. Jeff, let's get started. Can you just give us a little brief rundown, a little introduction as to who you are?
I am Jeff Pfitzer. I am a huge March Madness fan. So out of the side of my eyes right here, I've got a basketball game on.
Yes.
But I do a lot of things, actually. I'm a 23-year veteran of the mortgage industry, actually. And I joke and say I moonlight in that industry anymore because I spend most of my time with 3 startup businesses, newer businesses that we've created since basically the beginning of COVID or after. I'm a partner in a platform called the Business Video School, where we teach video to real estate professionals. I've got a platform called Real Estate Mastery Pros, where it's an educational platform that was designed for realtors because I leverage my connections. I'm a big part of Lab Code Agents. I host their podcast. Tristan and I are partners and all of the stuff. And so we put on webinars for realtors, and it's designed for where loan officers are the gatekeeper. So they're the ones who provide it to their realtors. So it's pretty cool. And obviously I got a lot of connections through the podcast. So I just leverage those connections. And then the reason why I'm here is our platform called Drunk on Social. I'm a co-founder with Tristan. It is a social media platform. It was designed originally because at the dawn of TikTok, Tristan and I, this is back in 2019, we were asking ourselves, why didn't we know about this sooner? And we were really early adopters of TikTok, but we were like, damn it, I wish I had been on it 6 months ago or a year ago, because I probably would have had even more growth. And it caused us to sit and question, who's aggregating this? Like, why is nobody aggregating what's going on? Social media news, social media strategies, social media techniques. And there are specific platforms for each platform, but we couldn't find anything that covered all of it. And so we thought, well, let's just create it. And so selfishly, it was like, let's do this for ourselves so that the next TikTok, we're not behind on, we're driving the bus. And one thing led to another. It started as a Facebook group. Now we're across every platform. We've got a podcast. We've got a coaching platform, which we're doing a collaboration with REDX on. We actually manage social media brands for agents and do video editing and all that kind of stuff. And so I spend a great deal of time in social media. And the last thing I'll say before I turn it back to you is a lot of people ask me, like, okay, you spend a lot of time doing this. What does it really mean for your business? Does it actually create business? And as a mortgage, so I'll talk about my mortgage business, which is the reason why I started doing video and started doing social back in 2015, 16, when nobody was doing it. Fast forward to the last couple of years, we were a perpetual about 600 to 800 unit a year branch. And we did about 120 million. That was kind of our plateau. And once I really started leaning into video and social, it started to just really grow my brand and create opportunities. And it just catapulted. We hockey stick curved our business. And our best year was 2021. Obviously, 2022 was a down year, and we're now on the rebound. But we did so our best year previously was 800 units. And in 2021, we did over 2,200 units and over 500 million. And if you'd asked me 5-6 years ago that we would have gotten to that level, I would have said, pass me whatever it is you're smoking, because there's no way in hell we're getting there. And now it's like the sky's the limit. And I am all in on social. I'm all in on these strategies because I have yet to find a more sustainable attraction-based model than what we're doing with social. And honestly, I think it's the most sustainable because robots are coming for our jobs. And a lot of the things that we do, robots are going to be able to do better. But the one thing a robot will never be able to do is be authentic, be human, have pets, have families, have hobbies. And because you can display all of that through social and touch and create so many relationships, parasocial relationships, opportunities endless. So it's really cool.
I love that. I think a lot of people that listen to the REDX podcast are prospectors, and they get on the phone every day. They're calling expired listings. They're calling for sale by owners, circle prospecting, all those things. And we hear, obviously, we believe that social media works. And like you said, attraction based, it's amazing at generating leads, and it actually works. But I want to talk to those agents who, because I hear them all the time as I'm creating content for agents, and I'm talking to agents all the time, as they're just like, they just don't think it works, or they just aren't doing it correctly, or they don't think that they have a big enough reach. There's all of these different pain points that agents experience on social media. So talk to me about that. Where do agents go wrong in social media? And if they're not on it, like, why they need to be on it?
Oh, you're going to send me on a soapbox rabbit hole right now.
Perfect.
So first of all, here's how I'm going to start this. If you go and ask a random 25-year-old who has no ties to real estate, give me the first word that you think of when you think of a real estate agent, I will bet you that the majority of those answers revolve around the word slimy. And you think about that, and you're like, oh, wait, why? And here's another word I'll use, another phrase I'll use, used car salesman. We all know what that means, right? And that is now how our industry has portrayed, or we are now perceived by the world because of what we've done on social media. Because here's the deal, social media is social media. It was designed to connect with your friends. Facebook was created for college kids. And us, quote unquote, boomers, as my kids will call me, have taken it over. And real estate, God love us, we decided at some point in time that we were going to go start taking pictures with our clients at closing and posting them, AKA self-serving. And I know what you're thinking. Well, I'm celebrating with my client. No. You're trying to post something to tell people what you do for a living. And frankly, your audience could give a rat's ass about that. They could care less about your awards. They could care less about a Monday market update. They could care less about your listing. They don't care. They opened up Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, even probably LinkedIn to a degree. They opened those apps because they're looking for mindless entertainment. They're looking to connect with people. They're looking to feel like they can relate. They're looking to feel like they're human. Because even that's changing, the filtered world is changing where, authenticity is now winning. And so to answer your question, most realtors get onto social for their business, and then all they do is vomit business. And then they come back and say, social doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because you're never, well, I shouldn't say never. There are some agents that have had success with this, but it's a very steep hill to climb. You're probably not going to have any success talking about business on your social media, which is why you're getting no engagement, why it's driving no opportunities, because the algorithm is going to suppress you because it doesn't see any engagement, because your audience, buyers and sellers and your past customers don't care about real estate content. They care about your dog and your kids and your hobbies and your cooking and all of those things. And so you got to give them what they want. You got to draw them in first before you then drop what you do. You got to create raving fans first. Once they become a raving fan, guess what they do? They become a customer, and they become a very loyal referrer of your business. But that's where we get it all wrong. And so that's a short answer to the soapbox that I could easily go on for hours.
Well, and I've heard people say, like, you need to mix the content, like you need to have the authentic content along with real estate content. Yeah. So what would you say? Is there some sort of ratio, or like, should you just not talk about real estate at all? Like, what are you saying?
Well, if you don't talk about it at all, they're not going to know what you do. So there is a certain degree. So I'm not necessarily chastising the agent and saying, don't ever post your closing pictures ever again. Yeah. The problem is, if you gave me 100 realtors and you said, go stalk them on Instagram, for example, probably 98 of them, if I just go stalk their bio, it's going to be a primary mix of just listings, maybe listing graphics. It's going to be maybe awards. It's going to be maybe testimonials. It's all that stuff. It's closing photos. And that's why it's not working. And so there isn't a scientific ratio to this, because once you get to like someone like my level, where you've been doing this long enough, you earn the right to sell more, because I've brought so much value to my audience that they want what I've got, right? And so I think that's where a lot of people miss the boat on figuring out. You got to figure out what it is your audience wants, because a lot of social media coaches will say you need to niche down, right? You need to have a niche. But they're right on the base level of that, but they're wrong by telling you to define your niche. You don't define your niche. Your audience defines your niche. And so so many of us make that mistake of saying, I want to be this. And so we go on social, we go all in on a niche, and then it doesn't work. Well, because your audience doesn't maybe care. And so that's why we recommend to people, like, you need to find, so going back to your original question, you've got to find your pillars of content, your superpowers, the things that define who you are as a human being. You know, it's family, right? We all have some version of a family, whether it's just us or we have a big family. All of us have that, some level of that, and various levels of it. We all have businesses, right? But then beyond that, what do you do with your life? You know, do you just spend your time, watching Netflix? Are you an avid reader? Are you a golfer? Do you grow tomatoes? You garden? Do you cook? What do you do in your free time? Everybody has something in their free time. And so you need to just get in the habit of documenting your life. That's what social media has really become. It's reality TV. And that's what they want. They want to kind of see the behind the scenes. They want reality. And I'll give you a great example, Haley, is I'll always have, because I speak and teach on this a lot, and I'll always have somebody in the room that raises their hand and say, I'm really boring, Jeff. Like, I follow you. It's really exciting. You travel, you do all these fun things. It's easy for you to share all this stuff. And I'll give you a great example. This was a gal in Atlanta. She said, I'm a part-time agent. I am a nurse full-time. I'm a single mother. So she's like, think about my life. I get up, I get my kids ready for school, get them off to school. I go to my nursing job. I come home, homework, dinner. If I have the energy, I might work on my real estate. If I have if I have the energy, might watch TV, I might read, but I pretty much go to bed. That's my life. Yeah. And so what am I going to post about? And I said, and I looked at her and I said, you have a unique advantage over me. Like, I have more of a flashier life because of just what I've been able to create. But I said, you have a real life. You are going to connect with so many other real estate agents, so many people that are working 2 jobs that can relate to you, so many single parents out there that can relate to your life. And I said, all you need to do is start documenting your days. Document when, the struggles that you go through with your kids. Document the wins that you have with your kids. Document how tired you are every single day because you have to work so hard. And I said, you're going to attract way more people than you think, because although everybody thinks we all are attracted to the Kardashian lifestyle, right? The reality is on social media that a lot of people turn to social because it is the place where they feel connected. They actually feel normal. Because they want to be able to connect with other people to make them feel like they're not a failure, like that they are in fact normal, and that it's not all about, flying in private planes and driving Lamborghinis and riding on yachts. That's not reality. And so it's everyone. No one, you'll never stump me. I could talk to a million trillions of people, and you just tell me a little bit about yourself and I'll give you a content strategy. Because we all have it. We just got to get over ourselves and realize that we have to turn the camera on ourselves more often, and stop thinking that my audience doesn't care, that people don't care about your life. You'd be surprised. They care more than you think, because most of your customers, if not all of them, they're consumers on social. They're not creators. And so you have that opportunity to now build that relationship with them where, let's just say you're one of 3 agents that was recommended or that they're considering to sell or buy with. Most humans nowadays, what do we do, Haley, when we get introduced to somebody? We go stalk them first, right? So the agent who has the most content, the most relatable content that people can get to know them and feel them and get the feels with them before they even talk to them, are the agents that are going to win. And that's the key.
I like that, because I'm thinking about my own experience with social media and who I like to follow. And I think even like maybe 10 years, maybe less, maybe like 8 years ago, you would follow these influencers who, like, for example, you'd follow like these people that are like gym rats and they look a certain way that you're like, oh my gosh, I want to look that way, or they live a certain lifestyle and it's really cool to look at. But I think now I just like people that are, like you said, authentic and real and will just talk about what they're going through, because I think now when we see people that are just posting flashy photos and just things that aren't real, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't relate to them, moving on. Like, I don't really, so like
Yeah.
applying that to a real estate agent. Also what came to mind is something, if you're opening up about your personal life, I can see how that could be like really vulnerable, right? So what would you say to those agents who are like, I'm a little nervous, I don't want to put myself out there that much, like social media, it's a very public place. But in order to be authentic, right, you do need to share yourself. So tell me about that.
Well, first of all, I'm going to go back to your first thing you said, which was the authenticity piece, or the real piece. And so what I've learned through this journey with Drunk on Social, and I now study and subscribe to marketing blogs and marketing websites and marketing companies and the people doing it at the highest level. And the one thing I've learned is that the best marketers are always studying the up and coming generations, because the up and coming generations are the drivers of what's happening, what's coming, right? Boomers, sure, they have money. Gen Xers, sure, they have money, but they're not now. They're old news, right? And so what they're now paying attention to is not even millennials, are paying attention to Gen Z. Yeah. And because the youth of America drive where the world is going, they're driving what technology is coming. And the beauty of Gen Z is that they have basically said through their actions, and probably just verbally said it, they're done with filters, they're done with perfection, they're done with Victoria's Secret. I mean, there's a song about it, right? That's a really popular song. And so it just reinforces that is changing, and filters, all of that stuff. Like, people want to actually see the real you, not the dialed up you, but the real you. They want to see that behind the scenes. And so I think a lot of us struggle with that, going back to your other question, which is, how do you get over yourself, and how do you get over that fear or I'm private? Well, my simple answer is this: like, listen, it's not the end of the world, but I will tell you right now that you're going to be creating a massive disadvantage for your business, because and I've got a story that I could tell I had this interaction with the president of my company just within the last couple of months. And he always will send out these like inspirational, whatever, just quotes or cartoons. There's these various things he shares. And he shared this one, and it was a cartoon. And the premise of it was a picture of an employee in a retail store standing at the window, staring out across the street at the competition. And the manager was behind them saying, maybe if you stop paying so much attention to the competition and focused on your customer, you'd actually make more sales. And so I jumped on it and chimed in, because I'm known as the social media guy amongst our company. And mind you, there's over 1,000 people. I reply all and say, gosh, this is so applicable on social, because we're so focused on other agents taking closing pictures. We feel like we need to take closing pictures, when that's all wrong. Nobody really gives a crap. Focus on what your consumer actually wants to consume. And it was funny, because Doug misread my email, because I said something at the end. I said, the question we need to ask Doug, his name is Doug, was, do they even care? And what I was talking about was like agents and consumers on social. And he took it as a hit to him. So he responded replied to all, and said, Pfitzer, I don't even know what you're talking about. Why don't you go help your loan officers, close another deal or something like that. And it was fascinating, because a lot of the company came to my defense, because they knew what I was saying. Yeah. Actually, the gal, like her partner, like apparently jumped his ass and was like, you idiot, why did you respond with that? But it then led down this rabbit hole conversation. He ended up emailing me individually and apologizing. And we talked, and I said, Doug, like, you were really great. You were a great loan officer, because one of his responses to me was, I love what you're doing, Jeff. You're clearly doing it at the highest level, but nobody's going to be able to do what you do. And I responded with, I said, Doug, respectfully, you were one of the number one loan officers during your day. You do it traditionally. You knock on doors. You show up to real estate offices. You do things right. And I said, you'll never not be successful in any era. And I will do it at the highest level in this current era, because this is now the newest era, right? And I said, but here's the deal, Doug. Here's my bet. if you do it the way you do it, the traditional way, you provide an amazing experience and you communicate well and you close a transaction and you put them into your CRM and you stay in touch with them traditionally. Maybe you reach out to them once a year to check on how they're doing. That's an overachiever. I said, you do you, and I'm going to do me. And I said, let's just assume we both provide a good customer experience, but your follow-up is the traditional one. Mine is parasocially on social. I said, I'll bet you, let's just take 10 of your customers. Let's just assume there's going to be a 5-year period to the next time they need to transact with us, whether it's a refinance or a purchase or whatever, right? I said, oh, during that 5-year period, you're staying very passively in touch with them. Arguably, it's spam. Because you're probably sending them emails that they unsubscribed from, or they're not really, they didn't ask for it in the first place. Meanwhile, I'm creating a relationship with them on social because of something that we have in common. We have similar age kids. We live in the same city. They're just entertained by my content, whatever. I'm establishing a parasocial relationship with them. So I said, after 5 years, here's my bet. Out of that 10, I'd say 8 or 9 are going to choose me because now they feel so much closer to me. It didn't matter how good of a job you did. I now have a relationship with them that feels more personal. And I said, you fast forward in our world another 5 or 10 years. And I said, I'll bet you I win 10 out of 10 times. And I said, so I'm not saying you suck at your job, but I'm saying I'm going to be stealing a lot of your customers because I'm going to be creating a relationship with them that you're not. And that's a game changer. And so that was kind of my argument to him, and goes back to answer your question. Like, if you don't want to do social, okay. If you don't want to do this, you're just going to create a steeper hill to climb. It's going to be harder because now you're going to be competing with the Jeff Pfitzers of the world who are just living life and sharing it and establishing relationships. And now when they have a choice between you, their realtor, because you know that the data says, Haley, NAR puts this out every year. And the last time I saw it, it was something to the effect of 90 or 95% of homeowners would use their realtor again, but only roughly 10 to 13% do. Why? Because we suck at follow-up or our follow-up sucks. Yeah. And because we don't stay in relevant touch with them. And by relevant touch, I mean meaningful touch. It's business touch. And guess what they want with business? Nothing. They want nothing to do with us selling them garbage, right? They want to get to know us. And when you start to now show them that you're a human and you have kids and you do human things, they feel more connected to you. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to remember you. They're never going to forget you because you're going to be top of mind, because every time they're sitting on the toilet, laying in bed, sitting in public transit and opening social, guess who's going to show up? You, every time. It's a winning strategy.
Yeah. I think that is real estate is a relationship business. It's all about making relationships and keeping those relationships. And I think oftentimes with social media, real estate agents, they just overcomplicate it, because how you're talking about it, it's really just like documenting your life and reaching out to people and like just showing yourself, which at the end of the day is like, it's just you being you, and you're attracting people that way. And it's really simple. Whereas like if I just get an email once a year from an agent or something, I get an email, it's curated. I know that they wrote it. I know that they're sending it to 1,000 people, whatever. But if I'm constantly seeing you on my feed, because we're all there anyway, it's way more effective, right?
10 million %. Like, by far, because again, you think about it, and again, using the CRM as the example, like I'm not advocating to not have one. You should have one because it's automated. It's amazing. But this is a great complementary tool because, again, the reality is you drop them into that CRM, and what happens? You send them 10 tips to get their house ready to sell in the spring. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I just bought my house 6 months ago with you. Why are you sending me this stupid stuff? Because you just have it automated and it just goes out to everyone. And you all know the data, right? What happens to most of your past customers? They opt out because they're annoyed. And because people just get overwhelmed. Oh, I get too many emails. It's like, but where are they spending all of their time? And the data says the average internet user is spending 2.5 hours a day on social media. And I know a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. It's so sad. But I remind everyone, I'm like, put it into context. Think about 10 years ago. What did you do? You got home from work, you made dinner, You sat on the couch and you watched your shows for 2 to 3 hours. Like probably every day you had a structure and a regime, but nobody sat back and thought about it like, oh my God, you're wasting your life away watching television. No, it was normal. Social media is now Seinfeld. It's soap operas. It's like, that's the reality. And nobody, like, we're not changing the lens. We're just looking at it as a nuisance and as annoyance. And that goes back to something else that you said about people that have this perception or this thought process about social, that it's like, social. It's so, my family, they always have their face in their phones. And every time you go out to a public restaurant and what is the whole family sitting on their phones? And I agree, there's a degree of that that's kind of sad. But listen, like, rewind the clock 50 something years ago when radios first came out. Every mother in America said, I hate this stupid box. It's ruining my kids. They used to want to play in the yard. Now all they want to do is come in and listen to the radio. And you go down that sequence of technology that's come into our world. We demonized everything because it's new and it's changing us. Well, that's what social media is now. And 20 years from now, Haley, if we talk again, we're going to look back and be like, gosh, I remember when it was just TikTok that we were worried about. Like, that's what it's going to be. And there was a time when television was like, if you sit too close to the TV, your eyes are going to go bad, which was wrong. And if you watch too much TV, your brain's going to turn to mush. And it's like all these things. Everybody who's my age or older remembers that, like it was yesterday. And now it's like, oh man, I remember the times we used to watch television. Now it's funny. What do? So many of you turn on TV. You sit down on the couch and you get on your phone, and so it's funny to think about that, but that's the point. The point is, you now have so much opportunity to be top of mind for free in front of your audience every single day. And again, rewind the clock 10 years. You paid thousands of dollars to be on a billboard, thousands of dollars to be on the radio or TV. You paid thousands of dollars to be in your local newspaper, to be on a grocery store card, on a bus bench, and the reach was fairly limited. And now you've got this exponential reach, and it's so much deeper because it's so much more personal. And so many of us look at it like, ugh. And it's like, stop, change your lens, change the glasses, how you're looking at this, because you're missing the boat. You're missing the opportunity here.
Just know your audience, like you said. Like, what is your audience doing? They're on their phones. And if you know your audience, then that's where you're going to be. So I think, like, we're almost out of time here. I don't know how that went by really fast. But I think that everything that you're saying is very clear. And I don't know anyone that would watch this or listen to this podcast and think like, oh no, I don't need to be on social media.
He's an idiot.
So, but for those that may feel overwhelmed or aren't sure how to start or where to go or if it's not working for them, how to make it work, where can they learn more?
Yeah, well, first of all, obviously Drunk on Social. So, you can go follow us on Drunk on Social anywhere. We have a website. Like I said, we have coaching. We have a special offer for the REDX audience, and there's going to be a lot more collaboration happening there, which I know you're going to share that special. You're going to share a link in the code.
Yeah, I'll put that in right now.
Honestly, if you want my advice, everything that we have created was based out of our own personal needs, or because we had agents asking us for it. It was nothing like, I can't say that 2 years ago I sat back and said, "Ooh, I've got this business idea." It was never that. It was, I need to be better. So how do I? And no one else is going to teach me. So I want to become that. And so that's where our group coaching was conceived. And we've got about 150 people that are in it. We just started it 6 months ago. And really what we're finding is that people really just want to be amongst a group of people that are like-minded, sharing the same struggles, and all looking to ramp up their game, but stay ahead of the game and know what's coming and what tools are working. And Tristan and I are two of the biggest practitioners you'll ever find on social. There's a lot of social media experts, but most of them aren't practitioners. And so I always tell people, I'm like, make sure whoever you're following or learning from is doing what they're telling you to do. Because if they're not telling you to do it, they're just regurgitating what somebody else says, and they actually probably don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. Make sure that whoever you're following is an actual practitioner. If you go stalk them, they're posting every single day, and they're using the tools that they're telling you to use. And that's what Tristan and I do. So we're living it, we're breathing it. It's
practice what you preach.
Business. Yeah. And so we're giving you the keys to that Lamborghini basically, and saying, here, just do this and it will help your business.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I shared that link and that code if you want to take advantage of that. And of course, Jeff, we're going to have you back on because I think we just scratched the surface and you have so much to offer the audience. So thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today. And I hope that the agents that are listening actually go and take this advice and do something with it. It's one thing to listen to a podcast. It's another thing to actually act on the things that you hear. So I would challenge you to do that, and also to check out Drunk on Social and everything that they're doing.
Go stalk me. Go stalk me. If you have questions, DM me. I respond to all of them. So just please, like, reach out. I'm happy to help. This is what I live for now, and I love doing it, and I want to help you. So.
Amazing. Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. To our audience, thanks so much for those that showed up live and also who are listening to it afterwards. We are here every Thursday at 1:30 Mountain Time. That's 3:30 Eastern Time. If you want to have conversations like this, we do have our REDX prospecting community. If you just go on Facebook and search that, you can join that as well. And we talk about all things prospecting and lead generation and social media and all that good stuff. So, but I think that's it for today. We'll see everybody next Thursday. See ya.
Thanks for having me.